Stand by. All right, welcome to the program, everyone. It is Friday already. My name is Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. We have a lot to cover today. I found something about Mike Johnson this morning, early this morning, that this guy is bad news. We're going to get into that later, okay? But I'm going to start talking about this disgusting trial that we're being put through in New York City. They got 12 jurors, 1 alternate. They need 7 more alternates, and they're back in court today. But I want to tell you, the Democrats are terrible, terrible people. And it's important for you to understand the type of people Democrats are, okay? Anything in this country's history that liberals want us to apologize for was brought to you by Democrats. Slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, the internment of Americans of Japanese descent, the Tuskegee experiments. Derek Chauvin. Promise you that guy's a Democrat. Milwaukee, come on, where he was at, George Floyd. Everything in this country's history that they want us to apologize for is something that the Democrats brought to this country. In fact, the Democrats, the thing with the Democrats, they're obsessed with January 6th and calling it an insurrection, which it was not. The Democrats launched an insurrection against the federal government when they fired on Fort Sumter and started the Civil War. Remember, that war started because the Democrats left the Union because a Republican won the election in 1860. The Democrats killed Abraham Lincoln. Right? I mean, think about it. And they killed Abraham Lincoln, the Democrats, because they wanted to keep black people in slavery. I mean, these are the people you're talking about here. When Roosevelt became president, Franklin Roosevelt became president, the Democrats were lynching blacks all over the South. Some senators went to FDR and said, hey, we want to pass federal anti-lynching legislation. And Franklin Roosevelt said no, because it would hurt his chances of re-election and hurt them in the midterms in the South. So the Democrats opposed federal legislation against the lynching of black people. So what's going on here with this trial in New York, with this corrupt judge, I don't care what anybody tells, now we find out that the judge's daughter has raised $100 million. Let me pull this up. I wasn't going to get into this just yet, but I'm going to pull it up here. I may pull up the article after the break. But the judge's daughter, I talked about how, we've talked a lot about how the judge's daughter was paid $10 million at this consulting firm by the Biden-Harris campaign and the Adam Schiff campaign. That's pretty bad. But now we find out that the judge's daughter, listen to this. This is in the Post-Millennial, which is a very good conservative news outlet out of Canada. I have to go to Canada, I have to go to England, to get the real news. But the judge of the New York case, his daughter has raised $100 million promoting the criminal prosecution of Trump, who her father is the judge of. This judge's family has made many millions of dollars off of prosecuting Trump. This is as corrupt gets. But this is what you got to understand. Technically, Trump's on trial, but they're putting us on trial. We're on trial. President Trump is the Republican nominee for President of the United States. He is the leader of the political opposition, and they got him locked up in court. Trump came out yesterday and said, I'm supposed to be campaigning all over the place, and I'm in this corrupt judge's courtroom. I want you to think about, there's all this talk of financial crimes. This is nonsense, okay? Trump didn't commit any crimes. If any crime was committed, it was by Stormy Daniels, maybe Michael Cohen if he conspired with her on this. But when you blackmail someone for money, you're the criminal. Not the person that pays you, but Trump didn't pay her, he paid Cohen. But regardless of all that, we're talking about $100 and some $1,000. Here we have many millions of dollars that the judge's daughter took, and she's raised over $100 million. And, the way that these fundraising people work, a lot of you guys don't know this, but people that raise money for these political campaigns, they don't just get paid huge salaries. Many of them get commissions on the money they raise. And, I don't know how things work in your family, but I know how they work in my family. All the family money is in one big pot. I mean, that's basically it, right? Who is this daughter? That she's out there raising $100 million on the prosecution of Trump, and her dad's the judge in the case, and he's still on the case? Someone called me at the end, and it was yesterday's show, and they used some profanity, so I had to let them go, unfortunately. And they said, you're saying the judge is corrupt? The very fact that with this information about the daughter, he hasn't recused himself shows that he is indeed corrupt. If he wasn't corrupt, he'd say, this looks bad, I'm going to recuse myself. Like that one juror yesterday, and if you listen to my podcast, which has been named the number 3 must-listen-to conservative podcast in America multiple years now, the Brian Craig Show podcast on all podcast platforms and my YouTube channel. I played the interview and broke it down of this juror, a new immigrant. She became a U.S. citizen in August. She was sworn in to be on the jury on Tuesday. She went to court yesterday and said, I cannot be impartial. And she was dismissed. She's a good person. I from the interview, I think she was probably a Trump person. The judge's daughter, they've made millions of dollars, the judge's family, off of this case. If he were not crooked, if he were not corrupt, he'd recuse himself because of the appearance. So the fact that he doesn't recuse himself shows that he's crooked. In my opinion, what do you think? I mean, it's pretty obvious. By the way, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to the calls after the first break. But you got to understand something. What's going on in this courtroom, while it is technically Trump on trial, what they are doing are disenfranchising, or attempting to disenfranchise the American people, including there's nice people in Harlem that were cheering on President Trump. Everybody knows what's going on here. The Democrats are evil people. They're demonic. When the Civil War was over, they should have locked them all up in jail and outlawed the Democrat Party. They really should have. Because nothing good has come out of the Democrat Party in this country in its entire existence. Nothing. Evil, demonic, civil wars, oppression, murders. Nothing good has come out of the Democrat Party. So we'll take our first break. Now, it is Friday, which means it's open phones. I got a lot to cover, and I found something early this morning on Mike Johnson I'm going to get to in a bit. You will not want to miss this. But it's Friday, that means it's open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Friday's show, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. The other days of the week, the other 4 days of the week, I try to keep it organized based on the topics that I think are newsworthy to bring up. But on Friday, we turn the show over, as Rush Limbaugh said, to rank amateurs, and any and everything on your mind is fair game on Friday's show. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. The number is toll-free no matter where you're listening to us, 1-888-465-2631. You know, and I want to ask you this. Just based on this daughter with the fundraising $100 million, making tens of millions, do you consider the judge to be crooked and corrupt? Because he won't recuse himself. Wait till we go through the jury. This is insane. This jury has already decided he's guilty, even though he committed no crime. We're going to break down the jury, too. 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Sloman's is doing it again for true oldies listeners. Call 833-283-5050 and Sloman's will give you a free home security system.
All right, I get it, Mr. DJ. We've heard you say it a million times on this radio station. We get it. Sloman's is the best in home security. It's privately owned and serving homeowners for the last 100 years.
All right, what else comes with this special offer?
I'm going to show you that I've heard you a million times. Sloman's will customize a system specifically for your home and include professional installation, an LED touchscreen pad, motion detector for interior protection, 10 contacts, backup battery in case of power failure, and you're ready for this? A lifetime warranty. So call Sloman's today at 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050.
Sloman's is a no-brainer. Call 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050.
Oh, my goodness.
Florida residents, are you looking for a unique way to give back to seniors in your community? If so, the Florida Department of Elder Affairs needs you. The Department of Elder Affairs is recruiting volunteers to help foster an environment for seniors to thrive, grow, and engage within their communities. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer, please call 850-414-2143. Thank you for your dedication to serving seniors in your community. This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 93.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at
All right, welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Don't forget, Friendly Tire in Margate. They're open on Saturdays, and it is the only business I know of where during this inflationary period, the prices have actually gone down. You can get new tires out the door and on the road at Friendly Tire in Margate for as low as $65 a tire. Remember, that's out the door and on the road because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount, balance, or dispose of your old tires. and those are on common sizes for many of the most common vehicles on the road. New tires as low as $65 a tire. He has thousands of good used tires in stock, and he does tire repairs. He has all the name brands you know and love. Give him a call. Mike will give you a quote right over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Call us on hold standby. I just was reading something in Front Page Magazine. Okay. One of the cool things that I've always loved about living in Florida are watching the rocket launches. I watch them all the time, okay? And when I was in elementary school, they used to take us out of class. I lived further up north in Florida than I do now, so I was a little closer to the Cape, but they would take us out of class and we'd watch the shuttle launches. And I have always loved watching. And then, you know, Obama shut down the manned space program, and we didn't have manned missions, but SpaceX is launching rockets like every day out of Cape Canaveral. I watch them all the time. My house is directly, immediately due south of all the launch pads at Cape Kennedy. So I get if it's not too cloudy, I get a great view. And it's amazing. Some of the ones that they launch, for some reason, they go south every once in a while, and they'll come right down the coast of Palm Beach and Broward County. It's amazing. And these are the best to watch because they use the reusable rockets that land. So you get the launch, and then you see the first main stage come down. It's amazing. I watch it all the time. Watched another one yesterday. There was a launch yesterday and the day before. And just like 2 weeks ago, I was driving on the turnpike on the way to the radio station, and I was live streaming on YouTube in my car, and there was a rocket launch. I showed everybody on YouTube the launch right from the turnpike. So anyway, we're about to send people back to the moon, and they announced who the astronauts are going to be. There's a big article in Front Page Magazine. It's the NASA Mars crew. There's no white people on it. That's right. They got a Muslim and no white people. Now, if you remember, that's who we're going to send to Mars. Now, if you remember, Obama, when he shut down the American manned space program, he put this weirdo in charge of NASA. And he brought in the DEI stuff. And the Obama-appointed NASA chief did an interview with Al Jazeera, which is the Muslim CNN. Okay? And he said in this interview, now keep in mind, this was 2010, not long after 9/11. In 2010, Obama-appointed NASA chief Charles Bolden told Al Jazeera that Obama had given him 3 priorities. Now again, none of these priorities had anything to do with space exploration. Priority number 1 was sending a man back to the moon, and to do this by first reaching out to the Muslim world, because the Muslims have contributed so much throughout history to science, math, and engineering. Now, you know, last time I checked, the Muslims were launching rockets at Israel all the time, like about 1,000 of them. And this statement was made not long after 9/11. So reaching out to the Muslim world and giving them our most advanced rocket technology doesn't sound too smart to me. But they put together a list of Muslim astronauts. And listen to this. If you're on hold, stand by. The Obama list of Muslim astronauts candidates included Dr. Charles Elikai, but he was dismissed from the program. You know why? They thought he might be. They didn't know, but they thought he might be a Christian. I'm not kidding. He gave an interview. He said he grew up watching John Wayne movies and believes in American success. They thought he might be a Christian. They thought he was Muslim, so they got him on the astronaut list. They thought he might be Christian, and he liked John Wayne, so they took him off the list. I'm not kidding. There's a big article in Front Page Magazine about this today. The other name on the list, Feroz Nadiri, an Iranian who is an advocate of the Iranian nuclear deal with the United States, is on the list. Now, Trump threw out a lot of this stuff, but Biden has brought woke NASA back, and the DEI is making its way into space. Victor Glover, a black mission pilot, worked with John McCain and was selected because of his McCain connections as an astronaut candidate. He says, you can't make this stuff up. He says on his way to astronaut training every day in his car, he listens to, and I've never heard of this before, this guy's name, but I've heard of this rant. He says on his way to astronaut training in his car, he listens to Gil Scott Heron's Whitey on the Moon rant twice a week on his way to astronaut training at NASA. Whitey on the Moon. Isn't that something? And there's a lot more going on. They have unveiled the 4-person crew, which includes a Muslim, a woman, an Asian, and Hispanic. Whitey cannot go back to space. No Whiteys on the moon. No Whiteys on the Mars mission. Now, of course, other than listening to racist rants on the radio, I see no qualifications. You know, like Neil Armstrong was a test pilot, like the original Mercury 7. He was a naval pilot. You ever read Neil Armstrong's biography? It's amazing. But I was very lucky to get to interview once Buzz Aldrin. And, you know, you go read Buzz Aldrin's life history. You know how they, when they land with the parachutes on the space capsules and how they, you know, do all of that turning and how they should. Buzz Aldrin created the entire NASA operations manual on how to do re-entry of manned spacecraft into Earth's atmosphere. Guy's an engineer. Brilliant stuff. All I'm getting here is this guy listens to Whitey on the Moon. The other one's Muslim. The other one has a vagina. I'm not seeing any qualifications like Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. But they do check the boxes on the DEI list. Oh, my goodness. God help us. All right. Yeah, but I watched that launch. I watched them all. The best ones are the manned launches because they have bigger rockets, and it's amazing. All right. That's right. If you're on hold, hang in there. I will go to the calls after the bottom of the hour break. I promise. Our number 1-888-465-2631. Whitey on the radio here. I'm Brian. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning.
All right, we'll be back shortly, guys.
And it was inspired by some whiteys on the moon.
Oh my goodness, he listens to that?
So I want to give credit where credit is due.
Whitey on the moon. Isn't that nice? All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It is Open Phones, Open Manga Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind, fair game on Friday show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good. Yeah, go ahead, Boca.
Hey, just had a question if anybody was thinking about this. You know, Trump is basically part of the federal government. He's a previous president. Congress should come up with a law that protects presidents purposely for these Soros-backed DAs going after ex-presidents for political purposes and protect them by passing a law that if they're in the crime, obviously if he commits a murder, yeah, he should be tried. But everything should go to the federal courts. Just curious.
Well, that's what this Supreme Court case the other day was about. It's about presidential immunity. They do have it, but they don't care. Democrats used to enslave black people. They are people of low moral character. They don't care about human rights or legal rights. They just care about being in power. They're terrible people. I mean, that's it. I mean, tell me one thing we have in this country today that's a good thing because of Democrats. A good thing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Yeah, Mike.
This judge in New York. I mean, I wonder if he's like Biden and he gets 10% for the big guy. I mean, how much does his?
I find it. I appreciate the call, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I find it just a little too coincidental that the judge assigned this criminal case, and the criminal here is the judge, I don't mean Trump, right? That his daughter just happened to raise $100 million that we know of for the Democrats on the prosecution of Trump, right? I mean, come on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian.
Hey, Richie.
There's something that bothers me about what you're saying, and I'm going to explain something to you that I feel every morning I hear you, and you're doing it again this morning. My parents, first of all, I see these rocket launches, by the way, and they're really close. I'm really close. I'm right by Cocoa. All right, here's the deal, all right? My parents voted for Democrats. John Kennedy put those astronauts up there, started that program.
That's not true. NASA was started by President Eisenhower, who was a Republican.
Who accelerated NASA? And who picked the astronauts? But what I'm trying to say is the Democratic Party, you keep on calling them, first of all, you're an educated man. When you say Marxist, people out there that aren't educated don't know what a Marxist is. They don't know Karl Marx. You got to start telling the truth. They have transformed this party into the Communist Party of America.
That's correct.
You start calling them communists rather than Democrats. The communists are terrible people. Obama was a terrible president. He got in bed with communist dictator down in Cuba, and he was watching baseball games.
There were two things that Obama did a lot of bad things, but there were two things that revealed so much about him. When he went to Saudi Arabia and bowed down to the Muslim king, and then when he went to Cuba, and it was Raul Castro. Castro's brother was in charge then. Castro didn't meet him at the airport, so he drove to the presidential mansion and went and bowed down to Raul Castro, a torturer, a lifelong torturer of people. I mean, my goodness.
If you don't think this is a communist party now, you got to stop calling Democrats already. Call them communists.
All right.
By the way, in New York City, there's corruption. Do you know what they say about corruption? The best thing to stop corruption is the sunlight. The reason this trial is not being broadcast to the American people is because there's a sham trial. They don't want anyone to...
That's right. They don't want us to see what is going on in the courtroom. And there is a long history of televised trials and high-profile cases in New York. Those police officers that shot that immigrant in the doorway 160-something times, 200 times, that trial was televised from jury selection through their acquittal. And, well, I'm talking about in New York, though. I want to be specific about New York City. That was a New York City case, and it was very hot. It was a very controversial case, and the whole thing because they want people to see. They're hiding this trial from us.
Exactly. That's exactly what's got me crazy, because this should be on court TV, believe it or not. I mean, this is a major interest for the whole country. And if the people started seeing what they're doing in the courtroom, they would get about 3 votes in this country. But they're protecting them. They're protecting their corruption crap. And they are communists, man. I'm sorry. Communists. Totally communists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Weekend.
Yeah, I know. Great weekend. Yeah, living under communist rule. That's wonderful. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff.
I want to tell you something, Brian. You hit it on the nail. When that slime bag, Obama, bowed to that Saudi king, I just about got up and kicked my television right in the half.
Yeah, when Trump went to meet with... When Trump went and met with the Saudi king, they were kissing Trump's butt. Remember, the king was driving him around in the golf cart and everything? Obama, when you're president of the United States, you don't bow down to people.
Exactly. And we don't expect to be bowed down by anyone else either. If that's the only thing we bow down to is the Lord God Almighty, our Heavenly Father and His Son. We bow to no other man. I will bow to no one. And that really... It's so fresh in my mind how much anger that stirred in me, Brian.
Yeah, especially so close to 9/11. And how many of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia? And he goes over there and bow. It was almost like he was checking in.
Yeah, and another thing is Obama put men in women's sports locker rooms and bathrooms. That shows you how evil and low he is.
Yeah, but they've rid Whitey from the manned space program. No Whitey on the moon or Mars. Isn't that nice?
And, this is all so absurd. We should be passionate but respectful about how bad Obama set us off. And Biden is just a continuation of it. Mm-hmm.
No, but, the damage that Obama did is so severe. With this country, it's going to take 200 years to recover from Obama's wrecking of our society.
Or put President Trump back in there. That'll end all this. And I got one more thing to say. You had a caller called in and said something about Trump being part of the government. Trump has never been part of the government. He has been buying for we the people. He is standing between the deep state and the takeover and the complete takeover of our Constitution and country. They are not after President Trump. They are after we the people, and he's standing in the way, and he's standing up for us. That
is so true. I was listening to these monsters on CNN. Oh, President Trump, former President Trump. They got to emphasize the former. They love that. The former President Trump came out and spoke out of the courtroom with his usual grievances. And what President Trump said is, I'm supposed to be campaigning all over the place today, yet I'm here in this corrupt, crooked judge's courtroom. That's, the American people are being disenfranchised. And I repeat this a lot because it's important. In the locker-up days, I said, you do not want to start trying presidents and first ladies. They can't get fair trials. You don't want to do that. And people said, no, we want to try that, witch with a B. And I said, no, it's a dangerous precedent, and it's not right. because it'll become and here we are, years later, and there's no mistaking it. This judge is crooked. This judge is crooked.
And hey, whenever they talk about former presidents, they always talk about their good things. You know what they feel that. I don't whether or not you agree with it, but they're always talking about their good points, what they did good. They never say one good thing about President Trump, and there's a reason behind that, because everything he did was for America first, for we the people, and they can't give him credit for anything, because if they had to give him credit for one thing, they'd have to give him.
And the other thing, when they talk about the other presidents, I never hear former.
That's right.
Just with Trump.
Former.
And who does that? Who does that? You know, it's President Obama. It's President Clinton.
You know who does that, Brian? People that want the destruction of America.
Correct.
Care about us.
Yes.
Care about us. What does MEGA stand for? God, family, country. President Trump just happens to be our leader and the best one we could ever have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. All right. All right. I got to run. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Jeff's calls are always very, very good. I want to remind you guys the $25 extravaganza spring sale, it continues at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane. Huge sales, huge discounts on top MyPillow products. This spring sale will end without notice. This is your time to load up with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. And the spring sale, the $25 spring sale extravaganza at MyPillow.com, it includes a lot of the top MyPillow products, including slippers, the towel sets. My wife ordered some new towels yesterday. The sheets that I sleep on, and many of the other top and most popular MyPillow products. But this sale will end without notice. And remember, when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, you're supporting this great program and all the content we bring to you. So go to MyPillow.com. It's time to load up. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth.
Now, guys, I am putting a link to our personal MyPillow page. Has some discount. It's hard to give out this address when I'm doing the live commercial on the radio. But if you go there, there's even some bigger discounts than the ones I've been talking about. If you go there, it's mypillow.com/Kane. And there's some huge savings that I can't get into on the radio because the web address is a little more complex. But massive savings on some of the most popular MyPillow products. And they even have the Mike Lindell bobblehead there on discount. If you click that link, the MyPillow coffee, 50% off. What are some of the other things here? The MyPillow dog beds, pet beds, just $25, all with our promo code Kane, and a whole bunch more. Beach towels, as well as the regular towel sets. Just huge deals. Even incredible deals on the MyPillow sandals. So click that link, and remember, when you do that, you're supporting all of my content. All right.
Are you living your best life? Are you feeling the way you know you should be? This
Wow.
is John, CFO at Lighthouse Medical Center. Our hormone optimization therapy programs have helped so many people get back to feeling the way they did in their 20s. They're full of energy after a long day, reduced their risk of heart disease, sexual vigor and excitement are great, sleeping the way they should without disturbances, and reducing their symptoms of aging. Our all-natural hormone optimization therapy is precise, easy, and effective from day one. Office visits are usually less than 5 times per year, and the cost is only $150 per month for most patients. Let our medical team get you optimized and living your best life. Our family medical practice has been serving South Florida for over 71 years. Let us show you what personalized medical care and being treated like family feels like. Call us at 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. Or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com to schedule your consultation today.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, the trial of America in this corrupt judge's courtroom continues. Caller on hold, stand by. Oh, boy. Our number 1-888-465-2631. 1-888-465-2631. So the judge's daughter has raised $100 million, listen to this, off the prosecution of Donald Trump. This is in the Post-Millennial, and I did tweet this story if you'd like to retweet it and share it with your friends. I mean, how is that allowed? How can he even be on this case? And I want to know what kind of commission the daughter got off the $100 million she raised. I'd also like to know, I'd like them to do some forensic accounting and find out the lifestyle of this family and how it's changed in the last few months, if at all. New cars, houses, jewelry, I don't know. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, you didn't make it on the jury.
I'm just incredulous that you're defending this racist rapist who was urinated on by these Russian prostitutes, and you are so prostrating yourself to trying to please this man. It's incredible.
You don't even have your talking points right about the fake Russian dossier. The dossier says that he hired the prostitutes to urinate on the bed, not on him. That's what the dossier lie said.
No, you don't know what a golden shower is, dummy.
Listen. This is a family program. This isn't the perverted world in which you and your sick mind live in. We're not talking about such things.
What?
You heard me.
No.
We're not. This is a family program. We're not going to talk about your sick, twisted perversions that you fantasize about.
Daniel, change your name. Man, you are twisted. Hey, supremacist, white.
Yes, okay. Yes, yeah. Enough of him. Oh, boy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Ben from Pamela.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, oh my God. Renee is such a fool. He really is sick. And, you know, it's so funny that he clutches his pearls at any of the lies that he believes about Donald Trump that were spread and debunked. But he has no problem. He wants to talk about prostitutes. I mean, Hunter Biden, you can go all day with him. You know, Renee is a sad, sad man, and I think he's just better he didn't get on that jury, like you said.
Oh, yeah. Well, getting on the jury would involve him leaving his house and being somewhere at a scheduled time. Is he even capable of that?
No, he's a loser. He's a stay-at-home loser who probably, you know, he's probably on welfare. He probably doesn't do anything, and hence the bitterness. He knows deep down he's just a complete drain on society, and so he lashes out. You know, his punishment is having to live with himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, at Mom's house, in the bedroom he grew up in.
Yeah. Or he's like a squatter or something, and he robbed it from someone else. As far as the judge's daughter goes, I mean, this is par for the course. We've seen this with Merrick Garland. His son was actually in the business of printing textbooks that, you know, injected a bunch of DEI.
I remember.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is a perfect example of projection. They always project on the Republicans what they themselves are doing. They think there was so much corruption between Jared Kushner and Trump, and they completely developed.
Remember how they went after, they were trying to get some criminal charges brought up against Kellyanne Conway because she wore a dress on an interview on television at the White House wearing one of the dresses from Ivanka Trump's clothing line. Remember that? She's wearing an Ivanka dress! And I'm not kidding. They wanted to charge her with crimes. Here you got this judge. His daughter's made $10 million that we know of, raised $100 million. And how all of a sudden, how did she raise $100 million on the criminal prosecution of Trump? Didn't have anything to do with her dad being the judge of the case? Come on. Of course it did.
Yeah, no. Oh, no way. She's attracted so much attention just by proximity to her father. And this is what, I mean, they're going after Clarence Thomas. They go after everyone. And this is the same thing we were talking about yesterday when it comes to, Chuck Schumer shooting down impeachment articles, but being more than happy to bring them up when they're against Trump. They always, and this is why people really need to wake up. They do not care about double standards. They only have one standard: defeat Donald Trump.
Yeah, one of the jurors they seated yesterday gets their news from Google and TikTok.
That's an automatic conviction right there. I mean,
yeah, that's a guilty right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's like automatic. It's automatic. 87% of people in Manhattan vote Democrat. I mean, so this isn't. And the other day we were talking about how should Trump go to his son's graduation or not? It doesn't. He shouldn't even be in that courtroom to begin with. It's a sham trial. Everything about it is a sham, and we're talking about it in terms as if the trial is legitimate. He shouldn't even be here. And so it's like, so it's a complete crock when we start arguing about it because nothing about this is legitimate. Nothing,
This jury, and it's 80. Think about this: 87% of the jury pool vote Democrat in New York. That number was put together before the mass exodus after the crime wave and the lockdowns. So right now you've got over 90% of the jury pool that votes Democrat, and that's who they're putting a jury together for. Come on, and I will say, no president, you could not impanel a fair, impartial jury for any president, because half the country hate every president.
Exactly, and it's even it was the most pronounced with Trump, and the Democrats, most Americans aren't Democrats. Most are independent. But if you look at the Democrats and poll them, they live in another universe. And when you see 80%, 87%, or 90% of people in Manhattan vote Democrat, I mean, every poll shows Democrats' number one issue is climate change and saving democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Independents and Republicans are the economy and the border. They live in a fantasy world. They do not live in reality. They every time they're polled on issues like shootings of unarmed black men or COVID deaths, they're always way, way, way off compared to Republicans and independents. And so the fact that 90% of that island is Democrat goes to show you, they're not normal.
Can you think of anything in American history that the Democrats have done for this country that's a good thing?
So I'm a latecomer. I turned on Trump in 2018, and I was a Democrat before that.
You didn't miss anything. Nothing.
I know. It's to me, I've had to unlearn a lot.
Oh, yes.
You have to unlearn so much. And the thing is, Democrats, deep down, I think, not only do they not contribute, they are actively trying to destroy. And deep down, they are always slowly crawling through all their policies back towards communism. And one of the first objectives of communism is to destroy the nation state that you're in order to bring the rest.
Well, they have it's the Cloward-Piven strategy is to overwhelm the system so that the system collapses, and then they come in with their radical proposals and get everything they want. That's what's going on. And the leader of the political opposition is in prison 4 days a week in this courtroom.
Yeah, I know, and another very Maoist-esque element to all this is they brazenly lie. It's like Soviet level, sky is green lies to your face, saying how we're protecting democracy when they take him off the ballot. We're protecting democracy when they're trying to throw him in jail. You know, protecting democracy when they won't even have debates between
Exactly.
either Trump or Biden or Trump or Dean Phillips, who was also a Democrat who they completely obliterated, just like they did to Bernie Sanders when Hillary Clinton was running. These people are so, most people can't comprehend how much a communist lies. It's because most people like couldn't see themselves doing it, but they only, like Karine Jean-Pierre, she's a perfect example. She can look the nation in the face and say the border is secure, the economy is great. Like these, it's going to take a lot of the people in the audience who didn't grow up to this new style of Democrat to get used to.
Well,
this.
she did. You know, Jean-Pierre did something so weird. They had the cast of A Different World, that show from the 80s, 90s that I never watched when Jasmine got. They had the cast of A Different World, which was a black sitcom from the early 90s, late 80s, at the White House. They emptied out the press briefing room and had only black people in there. And then Jean-Pierre led them in song and dance to the theme song, It's a Different World. And they were celebrating there were no white people there running the White House. It was so bizarre and sick.
The White House.
Segregation, that's correct. It is segregation.
All right, Brad.
All right, take care. Have a good weekend. Oh, my goodness. Now, but tomorrow's my birthday, guys. And, make sure you follow me on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I do, on my YouTube channel, of course, I live stream the radio show, but I also do a lot of live call-in shows just like this from my home studio. In fact, I'm in the middle of building a new studio at home, but I have a very nice home studio. I take live calls just like I do here. I do shows on the weekends, throughout the week, and upload my podcast there. And I will have a show tomorrow morning, my birthday show tomorrow, so make sure you all follow me on YouTube, all right? Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I'll also be live streaming on the cruise, and I may take calls on the cruise. I got to see. I don't want to be like that one guy that's in the news that got the $14,000 phone bill, but the cruise line gives me free internet and everything. So I may be able to take calls on my live streams on the cruise. We shall see. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Callers on hold. Stand by. 1 hour down, 2 to go. It's Open Phone Friday. Open MAGA Mike Friday. Back after this.
SFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show.
Well, thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll be 53. 53. I've been doing this show since I was like 19. It's crazy.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Saturday, May 4th, come out for PBKC's Kentucky Derby events featuring the best party south of Churchill Downs. Check out the on-track party jumbo screen, live music from Civic Fire, derby hunting contest, barbecue food tent.
I appreciate it, Jeff.
Fun activities and more. The paddock will also feature a delicious derby buffet, and stop by the True Oldies table for Benny the Boot's handicapping tips. Plus,
Oh, thank you, Bill. Appreciate the compliments. What is I'm wearing this Def Leppard shirt. What's your favorite Def Leppard song? Mine is Pour Some Sugar on Me. I love that song. But Photograph would be number 2. Rock of Ages is excellent. That would be my third one. Rock of Ages has been my third favorite Def Leppard song. I love Def Leppard. Always have. Pyromania, that was a great album. Hysteria, yeah. Oh, really? I've never seen them in concert. Def Leppard, they got the one-armed drummer. He crashed his car and lost his arm. Still incredible drummer. Oh my goodness. Now I put my personal MyPillow link in there with my promo code Kane. Those are specials that you can't get off the regular MyPillow.com site that are even, I mean, they're like even more amazing than anything I've talked about in that last commercial. So if you'd like to support my content, click that MyPillow link and load up with my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Here we go. We'll be back in 27 seconds. All right, hour number 2 has begun. Callers on hold, stand by. We're talking, it is open phones today, open MAGA mic Friday. Any and everything on your mind is fair game at 1-888-465-2631. Although I'm bringing some things up that I would certainly like your opinion on. So they've got 12 jurors and 1 alternate. They need 7 more alternates. This is jury number 5. Listen to this. A Harlem school teacher, a black woman in her late 20s, she has a master's degree in education. She describes herself as a creative at heart who loves theater, writing, and traveling. She gets her news from Google and TikTok, and she listens to The Breakfast Club. That's Charlamagne tha God, who is one of the biggest racists in America. She listens to Charlamagne tha God. When asked if she had a strong opinion about Trump, she spoke about the past election, saying, "There was a divide in this country, and I can't ignore that. However, I never equated that to one individual," she added. Well, what does that mean? I think that means that she doesn't like white people and that there's a racial divide. And oh my goodness, let's go. You're on the air. She listens to Charlamagne tha God. What else could it mean? What's your name? Where are you calling from? JP, member for 17 months. Welcome.
Good morning, happy Friday, and happy birthday for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited about my birthday this year.
As you should be.
Yeah.
To me, like, this woman has already cast her verdict, plain and simple, you know, as far as she's...
I mean, okay, think about this. She listens to Charlamagne tha God, right? Give me a break. Yeah, if somebody said they listened to Hannity or Rush Limbaugh, do you think they'd be on this jury or they'd be dismissed?
They'd be dismissed before they even knew they were dismissed.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, Brian, I hope you can help me out with my blood pressure because my head's about to explode with all this stuff. And I think what did it was the other day when they failed or they refused to impeach my buddy, Mr. Mayorkas.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how is this even possible? How is it even conceivable? And then it hit me. I'm like, of course they did. Because look, like say I'm Mayorkas and you're Biden and I work for you and I'm following your letter of the law, your administration to the T. If they can't fire you or if they refuse to put you under the gun, they're sure as heck not going to get me. That's all I'm thinking. Of course he got.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of this sick, twisted system that we have. That it's even worse than the mob.
Let me tell you, Mayorkas, let's make no mistake about it. The United States of America is being invaded. And it is the largest attack in this country's history that has resulted in more deaths than any of the other wars in our homeland, in the lower 48. And the invasion is being led and organized by the U.S. government, and Mayorkas in particular.
100%. And this is another thing. I mean, I'm 34 years retired military. I took an oath when I signed up to protect this country. It's all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so did these people. When they took office, they took an oath. And it just drives me out of my skull to think that they can do what they want to do. That's that rule, the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rule. And it's like, don't do as I say, or don't do as I do as I say. I can't fathom this anymore. And of course we know that Trump's going to win and how beautiful and glorious that's going to be.
Well, Mayorkas should be in prison. He should be on trial.
He should be on a rocket ship.
The moon? Yeah.
And beyond. So when Trump gets into office, fantastic. But what really worries me is what's to come after that. Because I can't help to think about.
Well, we don't want to go down that path, but I appreciate the call. Okay, very good points. Okay, if you're on hold, say bye. Juror number 6, a software engineer. Juror number 6, a young woman who recently graduated college. She's a software engineer who has voiced no strong opinions about Trump, saying, "I'll be fair and impartial." She gets her news from Google, Facebook, TikTok, and the New York Times. And she's a software engineer. I mean, that's another guilty verdict right there from that one. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug. First thing I want to say is, again, happy birthday. And have you seen the picture of Melania talking to Obama?
Of who?
Melania speaking to Obama.
No.
Oh, this is great. Obama says, in the caption, Obama says to Melania, "How could you marry that guy?" And Melania says back, "I really ask you the same thing."
Okay, I get it. Okay, it took me a second. Okay, your delivery's a little off, but I get it. That's a good one.
I'll send you the picture.
But you gotta watch what you say. Remember what happened to Joan Rivers? She made a joke like that, and then she ended up dead.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Anyway, what I don't get is $100 million these criminals raise, but what did they do it for? Isn't the state of New York paying for everything? They're wasting their money on this dumb case. So where is this $100 million going? What's going on with that? Any facts of where this money has been spent?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to know about the cars and the houses they have now and that they used to have. I don't know.
It's really rotten because they didn't give it to the state. I don't even know if the state would take something from.
What do you mean the state? No, the daughter is like a professional fundraiser for the Democrats, right? So she raised, the daughter of the judge, I mean, this is insane, raised $100 million. That's a lot of money. $100 million pushing the idea of prosecuting Donald Trump. And it's just a coincidence her dad's the judge in the criminal case? Come on.
DNC, okay.
It's, well, different. It goes to different candidates. She worked for Biden-Harris. She's worked for Adam Schiff and others.
It's amazing that people want to spend that kind of money against Trump, knowing that they probably have absolutely no chance of winning. But okay, they're going to try. They're going to try to cheat. They're going to try everything they can to try.
Oh yeah, these jurors are great. Listen to Charlemagne to God. That's wonderful. Listen to this. This is juror number 9, a young white woman who lives on the Upper East Side of New York. Oh my goodness. That's it. I mean, come on. She's a speech therapist with an undergraduate and master's degree. So she's very big into her credentialing. In her free time, she likes to hang out with friends, watch TV, visit restaurants, and go on walks. Really, walking through the Upper West Side of New York. She doesn't watch the news too closely, but does watch CNN, New York Times, morning stream, as well as TikTok. She says, I do have opinions, but I think I can be fair and impartial. She says she tends to not agree with a lot of Trump's politics.
I can't understand that there's no jurors that they can find that are more fair sounding. These people should be always accused.
Yeah. I mean, how are these people on the jury?
Really? I guess because you have to pick somebody, and eventually, I think you only have a certain amount of people you can reject, and then before you have to pick somebody, whether you like them or not.
I mean, here's another one. This is juror number 12. Okay, a woman who has worked as a physical therapist for the past 15 years. Juror number 12. In her spare time, she likes to run, play tennis, hike, paddle. This sounds like those bios of the Playboy centerfolds. She likes to hike, read, and walk in the park. But listen to this. She gets her news from the New York Times, USA Today, and CNN. I mean, come on. Does anybody get their news from, like, me or Fox or something, or Newsmax?
They'll be thrown out. They'll be certainly thrown out in the state as well.
Now, they got one alternate. They need to have 8 alternates. They've only have one. Alternate number 1 is a woman who works as an investment analyst. Are there any men on this, or is it all women? Okay. This is juror alternate number 1. A woman who works as an investment analyst for an asset manager. In her spare time, she likes to run, hang out with friends, and eat food. She gets her news from the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. Wall Street Journal is as conservative as we're going to get from this jury pool. It's owned by Rupert Murdoch. But if she gets her news from the New York Times, I don't see anybody that gets their news from Newsmax or Fox or Breitbart yet.
Yeah, rigged. This is all rigged up, and it's disgusting. But this is what we have, man. And now what they're going to do, they're going to be believing Michael Cohen, a liar, that went to prison, and this other woman who signed that she didn't have.
Well, listen to this one. Listen to this one. This is juror number 2. Okay? He's a man, so we got our first penis on the jury, okay? Juror number 2 is a man who works as an investment banker and holds an MBA in finance. In his spare time, he enjoys hiking, music concerts, and exploring New York City. He follows Trump and Michael Cohen on Twitter. He also listens to Michael Cohen's podcast. That right there should be a disqualifier. He also follows Mueller, She Wrote, which is some group. Mueller, She Wrote, Robert Mueller. He follows Mueller, She Wrote, and he also follows news about Ukraine. This is wonderful. He listens to Michael Cohen's podcast, follows Michael Cohen on Twitter, listens to Mueller, as in Robert Mueller, listens to Mueller, She Wrote, and follows news on Ukraine. He gets his news from the New York Times.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, if this is what they're picking, can you imagine how bad the ones that are not being accepted? This is terrible. And they can't find anybody in New York that's fair. This is ridiculous, man. This trial might as well be over.
Oh, this is great. This is juror number 1, okay? A man who now lives in West Harlem. This is juror number 1 in the jury box. He works in sales. He previously was a waiter. In his spare time, he'll do anything outdoorsy. He lives with his spouse and has no children. He gets his, let's see here. He reads the Daily Mail. He watches Fox News, but he also reads the New York Times and is a regular watcher of MSNBC. But, so at least he watches a little bit of Fox News, which hates Trump too. They hate Trump too.
Trump. They hate that man. MSNBC. Anybody goes, I put it up for 2 seconds and I can't stand it. I want to kick the TV in. This is, I don't know. This trial is going to be a joke.
And do you notice how they're all college graduates? Okay, liberals have this idea that the dumbest people I've known in my life have advanced college degrees. Okay, I'm telling you, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of the dumbest people I've known in my life have college degrees. That is not a joke. All right, but I don't see anyone there that so far what I've gone through that has not graduated college. And you see these polls all the time on CNN. Well, Trump's polling very well, but among college-educated voters, he's not performing as well. They got this idea that stupid people that are uneducated support Trump. This is a mess. This jury sucks.
Yeah, I'd like to know how they sent out jury pool to get people in there. And if it was all rigged from the beginning, if the state was doing this.
If I got called, I'd show up in my in a MAGA hat. I'd probably have to take the hat off in the courthouse, but I could hold it under my arm.
Then they kick you right out.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? These people get their news from Chinese TikTok and others. I mean, I can't. I get my news. I get my news from Breitbart and Trump. That's it. That's where I get my news from. Think I'd get on the jury?
And I get my news from you and Breitbart and Trump, and I would never get on the jury either. But
yes,
this is going to be a real farce, and hoping that in the appeal they'll be a little bit better, because this can't be there.
Oh, I haven't seen and I'll go through. I haven't gone through all the jurors yet, but I'll continue to go through the jurors. But so far, it's kind of like it's like the 12 Angry Men that came back and wanted to convict the guy right away. Right? We don't have any Henry Fondas here.
Yeah, man, and not only that, the whole damn trial. I mean, it's illegal with their polling. It's supposed to be a federal trial, meanwhile it's a state trial, and it expired already for the state, but they still keep going.
Well, the juror number, I forgot her name, that listens to Charlemagne to God, maybe when she's driving to the courthouse in the morning, Charlemagne to God, and she's listening to him, maybe she'll I mean, these things should all be disqualifiers.
But then there'll be no. This is New York. There'll be nobody then, unfortunately.
Well, there should be nobody there. It should be an empty courtroom, and Trump shouldn't be in it. All right, appreciate the call, Doug. Our number 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. A beautiful Friday, not a cloud in the sky. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, we need a timeout. Is your performance in the bedroom keeping you on the bench? Does fatigue have you feeling subpar? You gotta man up with Game Day Men's Health, where you can find high-quality, effective treatment programs, even if you're on the go. Call 561-355-5341. Testosterone therapy rejuvenates you with renewed joy of life, with a free consultation and test as quick as 15 minutes. Treat your ED with Gaines Wave, non-invasive sound waves in your blood vessels.
Get ready with me to have a medication abortion.
Oh, my gosh.
Long-term results when you're in the bedroom. Consider HGH therapy to rev up your engine with HGH peptides, helping men fight fatigue and trim belly fat. A 100% bioidentical hormones facility. Game Day Men's Health will get you back in the game in no time. 561-355-5341. Visit our new location in Palm Beach Gardens on the corner of North Lake and North Military Trail. Their enjoyable man-cave environment provides refreshments and flat screen TVs, aided by expert licensed staff who specialize in men's health and wellness. Nothing else compares.
FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dean from Stewart.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I think that the Trump legal team is basically just going to give this one to the people in New York, and so he can get back on the campaign trail.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know how they're going to get an acquittal with all of these liberal loonies on the jury.
An acquittal, but he's just going to take the L, and then they'll appeal it, and by the time the appeal goes through, he'll already get it.
But you never know with this judge. The best they could hope for is a hung jury. But looking at this, it looks like a conviction. This judge may put this
terrible.
It's New York. What do you got to pick from?
And they should have went through at least. I mean, can't they go through the 500 people? Do you think they went through 500 people already?
I don't know. I mean, these jurors are awful. The only juror I saw was the one that recused herself, who got seated on the jury, and the recent immigrant. And she said, I can't be impartial. She's probably a Trump person. She's an immigrant. She just became a citizen in August. But these other ones are like liberal activists.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe they're going to start rehashing out the people they've already chosen and say, oh, we looked into this guy. He listens to Charlemagne. I mean, that's a total liberal radio station.
Yeah.
He can be unbiased.
Charlemagne de God is... Okay, for those that don't know, every once in a while you hear about him. Charlemagne de God is a racist black radio host that is syndicated on black radio stations throughout the country. And he's the one Hillary Clinton went on the show and said she carries around hot sauce in her purse. And of course, if Mrs. Clinton said that to me, what do you think? If Hillary Clinton was here, she was trying to suck up to the black people because apparently black women carry hot sauce in their purse. If Hillary Clinton said to me that I carry hot sauce in my purse, what do you think I'd say to Mrs. Clinton? What would be my follow-up?
You're a racist.
No. Can you open up your purse? I want to see, what hot sauce do you use, Mrs. Clinton? Could you open up your purse and show it to us? Really? You think she's got hot sauce in her purse? Give me a break.
Exactly. Now, remember Biden goes to Charlemagne, you ain't black if you don't vote for me.
That's right.
You get away with that rhetoric to another black guy and not be called a racist. I mean, that's like a plantation owner saying that to one of his slaves.
Well, yeah. And, remember that Joe Biden was brought up by racist segregationists. We know, this is a fact. Tulsi Gabbard in the first Democrat debate 4 years ago brought it up.
Yeah. But I don't know what the game plan is. It seems crazy right now.
It sucks. It sucks. All right, take care. Appreciate the call. From MAGA Martin County. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Name's Tim. Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, what's up, Fort Lauderdale?
Hey, Brian. I remember we had a discussion a little bit back, and we were talking about the abortion issue.
Yes.
And I was talking about the black person that called in and asked you why did you ask the guy about his ethnicity. And now here you are again. I remember when you told me everything about me was about being black. But my thing was that when you came on and presented that thing about Trump visiting at Ortega, and that there was so many black people there was so many black children there, we saw the news coverage of it, and we saw how no black people there, and definitely no black children. And
None of that's true. None of that's true. There were a lot of black.
And it was.
There were a lot of black people there, and the kids were mostly black.
No, Brian, we saw the video. The video showed that there was black.
Well, first off, anyone who excuse me, anyone who does what, well, you're wrong, and anyone who does what you just did, is.
What part of Harlem did he go to in the bodega?
Slow down a second, okay? Slow down. First off, anyone who does what you just did is a sociopath and a narcissist, okay? You're a sociopath.
Do you have a PhD in psychology?
I've been to therapy enough to be a layman, okay? You meant to say that you watched the footage, but you said we, which is the royal we. That's very arrogant. Now, so far as what part of Harlem does it matter? There was a large group of school children, because they had their book bags and backpacks and such, who were cheering him on. They were outside the store. They were outside the store. It was. Okay, so don't believe my lying eyes. Okay, don't believe my lying eyes. Okay, so don't believe what I saw. There were adults and there were also children. There were adults and children.
No, there were no children there.
Then you didn't watch the whole video. Listen, listen. You guys go to my Twitter, Brian Craig Show on Twitter, and you scroll down. It was a few days ago. I've got multiple videos of it, of the "We Love You, Trump." It's children. Most of them are black. Now, maybe you agree with Joe Biden that black people that don't support Biden and love Trump, that they are not black. Perhaps that's your class. Is Clarence Thomas black? Oh, yeah, but there's a cop. See what I mean? Even Clarence Thomas isn't black.
We're talking about the content. Okay, sir. Trump's visit at the bodega.
So, all right, now I've responded to all of your nonsense. I got a question for you. Okay, I have responded to all of the things you brought up. I have a question for you. Okay, I have a question for you now. Here's the problem with the mic. I mean, I keep wondering if this mic works, or can you tell me one thing that is good in America today that was brought to us by the Democrats?
FDR.
FDR was a racist. That was, by the way, that was almost 100 years ago. But FDR, did you know that the New Deal that put, the New Deal, the New Deal that put people back to work excluded blacks. Blacks were, all those big projects like Hoover Dam and such, blacks were not allowed to participate. The New Deal excluded black people. So you're saying that that his racially segregated historic New Deal is a good thing? You want to rethink that one?
I'm going to tell you right now that it affected people on the common.
Not black people. Black people were excluded from the New Deal. But even so, that's 1933, man. It's 2024. Do you have something that's not 100 years ago?
You just don't like the...
No, you were incorrect. I shot that down. Do you have... and you were wrong. But that was 100 years ago. Do you have anything more recent?
Things that he did still have an effect on...
What did he do? Was it Franklin Roosevelt's opposition to anti-lynching legislation that makes him great? What are we living through today? Because what did FDR give us? What did FDR give us? No. What did FDR give us? We're going to go to break. Thank you for the call. All right. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio stores in
Okay.
Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club. easy. Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. Online, AppletonCairo.com. Brian Craig here. If you're a homeowner, business owner, or a
With no energy left in the tank to give your family? Are you having a midday crash on a daily basis? Women, are menopause symptoms like hot flashes, anxiety, and depression making your daily life feel far more difficult than it should? Men, do you feel like you are aging far beyond what you should? Is your sexual life and relationship suffering because of disappointments in the bedroom? Then take action and let our medical team at Lighthouse Medical Center help you stop the symptoms that are holding you back. We use all natural hormone optimization therapies with precision technology to help solve your problematic symptoms. Our family-owned practice has had the honor of serving our South Florida community for over 71 years. Call us right now and let our medical team get you optimized and feeling the way that you should. Life is too short to be running at less than 100%. You and your family deserve the best version of you. Call us at 754-222-6642 or visit us at lighthousemedicalcenter.com.
Hey, this break, do you know how long this break is?
It's about to finish. I have to put any lab on this one.
No, it's like 10 minutes. Almost. It has to be, yeah. The way the log is set up, it's just too long. Because I broke like at 7:30.
7 minutes.
That's too long.
Yeah, I know this one's the 6-minute one, but I have to add that.
Yeah, 6 minutes is too long. That's just like, that's really long.
Now, back to...
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Okay, I found something early this morning in regards to Mike Johnson that is really bad. And I hope some people, I know that I'm not the only one who will have seen this, and I'm hoping that people dig deeper into this. Hannah Fryer, or is it Frayer? F-R-A-H-E-R, Frayer. She's young and pretty, and she has been appointed by Mike Johnson as Director of House Operations. And so we're wondering, what's going on here with Mike Johnson? Right, he's doing all these things out of character. Marjorie Taylor Greene says he's being blackmailed. Frayer is one of the most powerful staffers in Mike Johnson's office, and he has like the most powerful office as Speaker, right? She controls all matters relating to the Capitol grounds, access to the Capitol building, and more. Okay, and she's a senior advisor to him as well. And there's a lot of details about her. Her being young and pretty is relevant to him if he's being blackmailed. And she is a long-time Never Trumper, okay? And just skipping down through a lot of it, she was a member of the D.C. Young Republicans, and they endorsed Trump. When the Young Republicans in D.C. endorsed President Trump for president, this young, pretty girl that Mike Johnson gave the most important job to in his office, she responded to the D.C. Young Republicans' endorsement of President Trump's and accused them of violating their bylaws by endorsing Trump. She demanded that her dues to the Young Republicans be refunded and threatened to quit the group. She sent them a written demand of this. Given this endorsement of Trump is a violation of the bylaws, I would like a refund of my dues, she wrote to the board of the D.C. Young Republicans. Let me know how it is easiest for you to make this happen. And she is a big Never Trumper. She also worked on the Gang of Eight when they were trying to give amnesty to all the illegals years ago, if you remember that. And she's young and pretty, and she just got like the most important job by Mike Johnson. What's going on here with this? I'll tell you this. If I had a staff of people and I gave the most powerful job to this young pretty girl and they were a Never Trumper, what would you guys think about me and her? Yeah, exactly. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, pal. Calling from Palm Beach Garden.
Why are you slurring your words? You've been drinking?
Yeah, my Bang energy drink.
Yes.
Anyway, you said that you predicted a potentially brokerage convention. That's something I brought up more than 2 years ago. That might be the end result of everything.
You know what I'm wondering? Maybe you're not slurring your words from intoxication. Do you have your teeth in? Are you missing some teeth? Maybe. I mean, you're slurring your words.
Dr. Gupta did a good job with a tooth replacement. So no.
Okay.
Thank you.
See now this guy he tries to hide behind a sponsor, you know. So I'm still going to give you a hard time. What's up? Well, then you must be intoxicated. You were slurring your words.
You are Putin's premier pontificating, pernicious, pompous pundit.
Yes, I know. Yes, but what does that have to do with you being intoxicated at 7:45 in the morning?
Not, you know something? You're lying. Okay.
I'm not lying. You're slurring your words. You sound drunk.
I don't work. Okay. I have a catalog of videos with.
A catalog of videos. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You have videos of Barry Silver. Those must be the videos of Barry Silver. Oh my goodness. Those must be things people are just dying to watch. Listen, what's on your mind? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is your twisted view of what this trial up there in New York is. I mean, the catch and kill with David Pecker, okay, is going to come more public knowledge.
I just think you like to say David's last name publicly. All right, take care. Have a good weekend. But isn't every day the weekend for Al? We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Great. What do you have for us today?
Well, with estate planning, it's one of those things that when people think about doing it, it's not like, gee, I got to do this in a hurry. It's something that's urgent because we think of it as, okay, it's going to be some documents I put together and I'll get around to it. There are some circumstances, though, when people do call our office and they are in a hurry to get it done. And some of those circumstances are when they're about to travel, perhaps for an extensive amount of time or somewhere far. Also, a big one is when people have to have some kind of surgery or medical procedure, and they just want to make sure that they have everything in place before that happens, just in case. So we do run into that where urgency does come into play to get people's estate plans up to date. And of course, the thing is, we don't know when anything might happen. The reason we do estate planning is to plan for times of incapacity or death to make sure that our wishes are followed. And we don't know when that's going to happen. It's not like when we look at each other, we're not going to see an expiration date on each other's foreheads like you'd see on a carton of milk. So we don't know when that's going to happen. So there is that urgency to get it done because we don't know what tomorrow brings. So that's...
Absolutely. Listen, it's always a no-charge consultation with the Siegel Law Group. If you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program, you can find him online at SiegelLawGroup.com, SiegelLawGroup.com, or call directly toll-free 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, have a great weekend. We'll talk next week. All right, we'll be right back.
Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, Richard.
Okay, just want to talk about the potential vice president. Is that okay?
It's open phones on Friday, so anything is okay.
I'm trying to see if you agree with me and if your listeners would call in. It's got to be someone who also wants to open up the Keystone Pipeline and all the areas of drilling in Alaska, obviously support the military, and a complete halt at all the borders, northern and southern, and absolutely an ID to vote, got to be a citizen, and a complete end of woke.
Mm-hmm.
And just arresting people and they're immediately put back on the streets, no bail. That has to stop.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Vivek has said, I'll pardon Trump. That's got to be another one. So have your listeners call in.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you say. And if you'd like to call in about that, please do. Here's a guy, an African-American man who was interviewed on the streets of America yesterday.
My thing is, you got all these people here for this guy named Biden, right? We got a lot of people, veterans in the street suffering. You got low-income families where he actually came to visit, struggling, but you got migrants, immigrants coming over here illegal, and they're helping people. When are you going to help the American people? That's what I would like to know, And then you pull our troops from Afghanistan, make us look weak as a country. Now people don't take us serious. They laugh at us. They look at us like a joke. And then now on top of that, you're not mentally capable of running a country, bro. Who is? Trump. Trump is, listen, he's quick to push buttons, but that's what we need. We need an iron fist for this country. Because Biden, he's going through Alzheimer's. He's a joke. Trump, he don't play around, man. He gets things done, and you see action. Man. He gets things done. We don't need this piece of shit.
Oh, well, okay. We got to hit the dump. I meant to stop it before we got to that part. Oh, well. But I do agree with everything he said. Up until that point, I wouldn't use that descriptor for Biden. I'd seen how old Coot will do. But, the The reason I share this clip of this guy, you know, it used to be so rare to hear black Republicans. You guys have no idea. We used to have guests that were black Republicans, and it was like a big deal. Oh, we got a black Republican in here, and he's going to come in, he's going to say conservative things, and he's black. You know, I remember we had Ward Connolly here. It was very unusual. Very unusual. And now it's commonplace. You know? But when you hear people that are of these former liberal victim groups that are promoting Trump and talking about Trump and saying good things about Trump, you know, what you hear them say is common sense stuff. Everything that guy went through, very common sense stuff. And in every, you know, this is the thing about this election. Every single person, not just polls, but these men and women on the street interviews, which I find fascinating. I like these man on the street interviews. I wish that the media would do more of them, but they don't want to do them because they turn out like this. But whenever you get these man on the street interviews, first thing they say is the immigrants in the border. That has people so ticked off. And it has people ticked off for a number of reasons, but one of them is, you know, Americans are hardworking people. I know some of our callers, you know, Jay from Jersey and Liberal Al and stuff, you know, are the exceptions. But Americans are hardworking people, and they work hard, and they hope to live long enough to get some Social Security and maybe, you know, get something else on the side going on so they can retire and not have to work that much, or not have to work and have a good retirement. And they see this group of people coming here and get their entire life set up for them with a retirement plan at the age of 21 when they just set foot in Texas, and it really has ticked people off to a level. And you know, the media don't get out of the newsrooms anymore. You know, it used to be when the cable news networks, the national news, would do local stories, and they'd go around the country and talk to people. Now all they do is talk to each other. They don't have guests. They don't do man-on-the-street interviews. The only people they talk to are pundits that work for the cable outlet that live and work where they live and work, and they're in a bubble. And the politicians are in a bubble, and they don't realize, they really don't, that the American people, that they've lost complete touch with the pulse of the American people. They think everyone hates Trump because they do, and everyone in their circle of friends and their dinner parties hate Trump too. They've lost touch with the pulse of the American people. They think we're nuts. This last week, I have watched more CNN and MSNBC News this week than I've watched in years because of the trial coverage. Okay? And that's why I've been watching it. They are on another planet. It's not just disagreements. You know, some of the liberals that call me here, you know, we disagree. But they're aware for the most part, they're aware of the things that's really going on. Right? Because they're listening to me and I'm talking about them. You turn over to CNN or MSNBC and they don't understand where the heart and mind of the American people are. And to be a success when it comes to politics, because you're talking about you've got to feel the pulse of the people or you're done. You know, same thing goes with media. You know, this is a form of media, what I'm doing right now. You know, and I think that I think one of the reasons this show is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida is because we are in touch with the pulse of our listenership. These cable news networks, I've been away from them for so long, and having gone back this week for the trial coverage, they were doing this before, but I didn't realize how bad it was. It's state-controlled television giving you Goebbels propaganda about the situation. The one thing I heard on CNN yesterday, I mentioned to a caller in the first hour, you know, that clip where Trump came out of the courtroom yesterday and came and talked to the press. I was watching it on CNN, and they said word for word, former President Trump left the courtroom and shared his same usual grievances that he always shares. And Trump came out and said, I'm supposed to be on the campaign trail in a whole bunch of places today, and I'm stuck in this courtroom. And then he went on a rant about it, which he was right on. Everything he said was accurate. But CNN just thinks those are some tired grievances that aren't relevant, that people don't care about. They don't understand that the American people, I believe, by the millions, are frightened, scared to death that a president of the United States who's worth billions of dollars is in criminal court when he did nothing wrong. You know, we were talking about O.J. last week, who has been cremated, and it was also, we found out he did not die surrounded by his family, by his children or grandchildren. That was a lie. One of his attorneys said he was just with him. It was just the attorney and O.J. His family wasn't there. I thought that was interesting. I wonder if they were done with him. They may have come later, but they were not with him when he died. O.J. died alone, like Ron and Nicole died alone. But anyway, the O.J. verdict, you know, we had a few celebrity trials. O.J. wasn't the only celebrity to go free. Robert Blake went free. Robert Blake, that wasn't a racial verdict. Robert Blake was guilty as the day is long. I mean, they had all kinds of evidence on Robert Blake. It wasn't as high profile, but he went free. Chances are Alec Baldwin's going to go free. There's going to be reasonable doubt that he had an expectation that it was a prop weapon, not a live round in there. He'll probably go free. Now, he may be convicted of something, but he's not going to go to jail. They're not going to send Alec Baldwin to prison, probably. We'll find out when the trial happens. Maybe there's some footage, because there were cameras everywhere when the shooting happened. But historically, rich and powerful people who were guilty get away with it. O.J. killed Ron and Nicole. Robert Blake killed his wife. And Alec Baldwin killed the cinematographer and shot the director. Those are facts. Right? And Robert Blake and O.J. were acquitted. Alec Baldwin probably will be. Donald Trump, everyone knows he did nothing wrong here. Okay? Even if he did what they accuse him of, he did nothing wrong. They got this new thing that Trump incriminated himself. You've seen this report? He said he was just paying for legal services to Michael Cohen. Oh, he confessed. They're calling that a confession, that his mouth has done him in. Again, I heard a lot of that talk yesterday in the cable news. That's not true. You know, Michael Cohen had been with him for many years. He gave him $130-some thousand, is life-changing money for me and you, but not for Trump. He gives expense report. He put it in and he paid him. Okay? He did it. And everyone knows no crime was here. And they've, you know, the thing is, they've been going after Trump so hard all these years. Finally, people woke up at some point. I'm not quite sure when, but they realized the fix was in. Maybe when they broke into Mar-a-Lago. If this had been the first case against Trump, a lot of people may say, okay, there's something here. But the American people are not stupid, contrary to what the political class and the mainstream corporate media believe, and they see what's going on here, and it frightens them. People say to themselves, if they can do this to a president who's worth billions of dollars, what can they do to me? And that's exactly right. There's a whole bunch of guys in the D.C. gulag that can answer that question. All right, we're going to take our break for the top of the hour. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. It is Open Phones, Open MAGA Mic Friday. Any and everything on your mind is welcome on Friday's show. We'll take our top-of-the-hour break and be right back.
WSFS 104.3.
Okay. Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
West Palm Beach, stop and go to Lace 95 North between 7 Boulevard delays past Lake Worth Road, and a crash in Wellington, Greenview Shores Boulevard at Wellington Trace. This traffic update is sponsored by True Green. True Green is the easiest and most affordable way to get a beautiful lawn. All you have to do is water and mow. And to top it off, when you sign up for an annual plan by April the 20th, you get one application free. Call or visit TrueGreen.com today. Restrictions apply. That's traffic. I'm Dory Don.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Saturday, May 4th, come out for PBKC's Kentucky Derby Fest, featuring the best party south of Churchill Downs. Check out the on-track party with jumbo screen, live music from Sip and Fire, derby hat contest, barbecue food tent, bars, mint juleps, fun activities, and more. The paddock will also feature a delicious derby buffet. And stop by the True Oldies table for many.
Yeah, Robert Blake was one of the Little Rascals. I forget what his name was on the Little Rascals, but yeah.
Sloman's is doing it again for True Oldies listeners. Call 833-283-5050 and Sloman's will give you a free home security system.
All right, I get it, Mr. DJ. We've heard you say it a million times on this radio station. We get it. Sloman's is the best in home security. It's privately owned and serving homeowners for the last 100 years.
All right, what else comes with a special offer?
I'm going to show you that I've heard you a million times. Sloman's will customize a system specifically for your home and include professional installation, an LED touchscreen pad, motion detector for interior protection, 10 contacts, backup battery in case of power failure, and you're ready for this? A lifetime warranty. So call Sloman's today at 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050.
Sloman's is a no-brainer. Call 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050.
The True Oldies channel welcomes our friend and world-renowned medical expert, Dr. Mehmet Oz, to our airwaves.
Unreal.
Catch Dr. Oz along with his special guest, Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame kicker Nick Lowry. Together, they will talk about their new initiative, Health Core, a teen-focused culture of wellness being integrated with high school curriculum to help young people's mental, physical, and community health needs. Health Core has teamed up with the NFL Alumni Association to change the lives of tomorrow's leaders. Join us this Friday at 6:30 p.m. to hear from Dr. Oz and Nick Lowry, right here on the True Oldies channel. Brought to you by Health Core, the NFL Alumni Association, and South Florida's feel-good station, the True Oldies channel. Here's your True Oldies ABC News update.
Yep, Alfalfa was murdered. That's right. Unreal.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve. Okay, they got the 12 jurors and one alternate, and not much good with the jury pool here, Steve. Oh. Well, I'll go through some of it. I went through some of this earlier. Let me go back through this. I'll start in reverse. Okay? They've got the 12 jurors already seated and one alternate. They need 7 more alternates. Okay? This is alternate number 1. She's a woman who works as an investment analyst for an asset manager. Okay? She gets her news from the New York Times. Yeah, if you're a Democrat, I mean, first off, who gets their news from the if you're a New Yorker and you get your news from the New York Post, I'd be like, okay, but the New York Times, that's hard. That anybody who gets news from the New York Times is a liberal activist. Yeah. Okay, this is juror number 12. Juror number 12 in the Trump trial is a woman who has worked as a physical therapist for the past 15 years. She gets her news from the New York Times, USA Today, and CNN. So 3 liberal sources. That's juror number 12. That's a guilty verdict right there. Let's see here. Juror number 11. Okay, let's see what we got here. She's a product development manager. That seems a little vague. She lives in Upper Manhattan. Her hobbies include traveling and eating. She's been called for jury duty before, but has never been on a jury. She pays attention to fashion publications for her job, but does not follow the news, although she does watch Google for the news that she does get. That's also liberal, very liberal. That's like the New York Times. When asked about Trump, she says she doesn't have strong opinions, but does not like his persona. She said she doesn't like his persona. Yeah, she's on the jury. That's juror number 11. She says she doesn't like Trump's persona. It does, yeah. She says, how he portrays himself in public is not my cup of tea, she went on to say. She's on the jury. She's juror number 11. She doesn't like him. Yeah. Well, no, she's already on it, Steve. She's been sworn in. She's juror number 11. This isn't the pool. These are people that are on the jury. This isn't the jury pool. These are the people that are on the jury. Not this. They've already gone through the pool process. They are on the jury. Yeah, okay. This is juror number 10. A man who works in e-commerce for an eyewear company is juror number 10. He claims he doesn't really follow the news. But when he does, he reads the New York Times. There you go. Oh, my goodness. This is, I mean, so we've got three convictions already. I know. Exactly. What are we wasting time with this? By the way, the daughter has raised $100 million for the Democrats on the promise of prosecuting Trump, of the judge. Okay, juror number 9. I'm doing these in reverse just because I was at the bottom of the article. Juror number 9 is a speech therapist, a young white woman who lives on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Well, right there, I mean, that's all liberal, isn't it? Upper East Side? Yeah, yep. She watches CNN, the New York Times, and also gets news from TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Does anyone read the New York Post in New York? So this is another one. Well, none of these jurors, CNN and New York Times are the primary sources of information. They're on the jury. Okay, this is juror number 8, a retired wealth manager who also lives in the Upper East Side of New York. He reads the New York Times, watches CNBC and the BBC. The BBC, by the way, is as liberal. They hate Jews, and it's very liberal. So another guy who gets all his news from liberal sources. When asked if he has strong opinions or firmly held beliefs about Trump, or the fact that he is a current candidate for president could prevent him from being impartial, he paused, but said he will be impartial. But he paused first. And let me tell you, when you ask someone a question and they pause, they're thinking. And they're thinking about if they're going to tell the truth or lying. And typically that means this guy's a liar, right? The pause is a lie. Okay, we've got 12 angry jurors. I don't know, maybe there's some help here. Maybe there's one impartial person. Juror number 7 is a civil litigator, a lawyer, a middle-aged white man who was wearing glasses who also lives on the Upper East Side of New York. He's a civil litigator. He enjoys spending time outdoors and spending time with his children. He gets his news from the New York Times, the New York Post, and the Washington Post. Oh, my God. So at least he reads the New York Post, but he primarily gets his news from the New York Times and the Washington Post, with the New York Post fit in there. He also listens to Car Talk, which is on public radio. Those guys, the guys that laugh all the time. Okay. He said there were policies he agreed with and ones he disagrees with when it comes to Trump, but he has no particular opinion of Trump personally, though he is aware of lawsuits out there. Okay. Juror number 6 is a young woman who recently graduated college. She's a software engineer. She gets her news from the New York Times, Google, Facebook, and Chinese-controlled TikTok. Juror number 5 is a black woman in her 20s. She's a teacher in Harlem. She gets her news from Google and TikTok and listens to Charlemagne the God. Okay, that's what I was talking about earlier. Steve, this is the most unfair jury, I think, that has ever been seated in a high-profile case. Why they're letting them on the jury?
Another couple dozen. Oh, open and shut.
Guilties.
That you can see, you don't even have to ask. You know, frankly, you wouldn't even have to cross-examine them.
Yeah, now yeah, you're right.
One bio, the whole book.
The next juror, that we don't know where he gets his news, but he recently moved to New York City from California. I mean, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay, the next one's a corporate lawyer. This one, oh, this is great. Oh, juror number 2. This one's great, Steve. Juror number 2 works as an investment banker. He has an MBA. In his spare time, he enjoys hiking, music concerts, and exploring New York City. He follows Michael Cohen on Twitter and listens to Michael Cohen's podcast. He listens to Michael Cohen's podcast. I've listened to Michael Cohen's podcast. It's the most vile anti-Trump stuff. So he listens to Michael Cohen's podcast. He also follows the account on Twitter, Mueller, She Wrote. Mueller, She Wrote, which is obviously a takeoff of Murder, She Wrote, but Mueller from the Robert Mueller investigation. So he follows on Twitter, Mueller, She Wrote, and he also follows news about Ukraine. So there you go. That's juror number 2. That's another guilty verdict. Okay, there may be some hope. There may be some hope. Juror, is this number 1? It didn't put a number. Yes, this is juror number 1 is a man who lives in West Harlem. He works in sales, previously worked as a waiter. He gets his news from the New York Times and NPR. But he does on occasion watch Fox News. But he gets his news from National Public Radio and the New York Times. I mean, that's juror number 1. Which one of these winners is going to be the foreman, Steve? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Hope. There's only one way of hope, and it's in the format of the entire production here. And the ray of hope is all you need is one vote.
Yeah, to hang the jury, yes.
Forget about it.
Yeah, one jury, yeah.
Acquitting.
There's no acquittal here. No acquittal.
No acquittal.
There's no acquittal here.
Totally biased. And, of course, you don't expect the judge to...
Oh, no. This is awesome.
There.
Oh, no. Hey, the New York Times and NPR are very fair and balanced. Oh, my goodness. You know, this is the most crooked court in the history of the criminal court system in this country, and it's open. We got a judge whose daughters making millions of dollars on the promise of Trump being prosecuted criminally. Her dad's the judge in the case. The jury is filled with liberal activists. I mean, this is sick. It's sick. I'm sorry to laugh. Why don't they just start deliberations today? Get that by lunch. They'll have the guilty verdict. But oh my goodness!
And putting all that work to waste.
You know, one thing I want to mention though before we break about this, there's a lot of talk in the liberal media about Trump and his cell phone. They want to take away his cell phone in the courtroom. He's been posting to Truth Social in real time from the courtroom, which is, well, first off, because he's not just a man. He was president of the United States, and he's the nominee of the Republican Party, right? Because of the security, he cannot take the phone away from him. He has a security detail, but he also needs his phone and other whatever else he has on him for security purposes, in case something happened and he got separated. You can't take a phone away from this guy. It's a security risk. He needs that phone as part of his. Now that's his last line of defense, okay? But but he's still. You can't take that stuff away. He was president of the United States. The only juror that I've heard that would be fair is the one that recused themselves. The lady that's a recent immigrant was on the jury. She was one of the 12, and then she came in yesterday and said she can't be impartial, and they dismissed her. And I watched an interview with her, and I think she was a Trump person. She's a recent immigrant. She became a citizen in August. And I listened to her interview, and she seemed like she had her act together. Now, listen, we're going to take our break. It is Friday, which means it's open phones, open MAGA Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind is fair game on Friday's show, although we've covered a lot. I mean, how can this jury have any hope of having a fair verdict with this lineup of characters I just went through?
Wait, since we're breaking here to kind of get set up for the big coming up.
Well, the big 40 minutes left.
Any comments on what was the story overnight, which is, of course, the potential starting of the Third World War?
It's already happened.
Well, we could use an update on that if anybody out there is tuned in.
Okay. Israel fights back. All right, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I'm Brian. Steve Kane's here. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live here now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, my true oldies listeners, John Tesh here with some intelligence for your retirement this time. When you're looking for a retirement advisor, you don't trust and experience are two big qualities to look for. And as it turns out, my friend Jupiter Joe Thomas possesses both of these. Whether you're in retirement or looking to retire, I want you to give local expert Joe Thomas a call. Here's the number, 561-743-0999. Or, even simpler, you can go to JupiterJoe.com. Mention my name, John Tesh. You'll receive a free copy of Joe's book, Retirement Know-It-All. Great book. Call 561-743-0999. Or remember, go to JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com.
When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend this guy. To me, he's the best ever. So I want to get that out of the way.
Listen to Richie the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Hi, this is Gabriel with Florida Cash Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house in South Florida and want to sell it fast for a great price, call me at 561-570-7070. I can pay cash and close in as little as 3 days or on your time frame. I can even pay you a cash advance before the closing. I'm a local cash buyer, and I'm looking to purchase more houses. I buy all types of properties in any condition, any price range, in any situation. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I will even buy foreclosures and haunted houses. Woo! Do you own a vacant house or one that is trashed and needs thousands in repairs? Great! I love buying fixer-uppers.
The first 2 days of this unprecedented criminal trial of a former president who happens to be the leading presidential candidate, it was predictable and predicted by us for nearly 2 years here on the War Room, and that is, there is no way in hell that President Trump is going to get a fair trial in New York City with this Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg.
Oh my gosh.
on 96.9 FM and
All right, we are back now as we are moving into the weekend. If you're suffering with pain, you want to go see Dr. Philip Appleton. Talking about his laser wave pain treatment. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. He's open tomorrow. Walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. The laser wave pain treatment works on so many different types of pain. Stenosis, neck pain, tennis elbow, tinnitus, strains and sprains, sciatica, muscular contraction, lumbar pain, hip pain, knee pain, bursitis, arthritis, bronchial neuralgia, many other kinds of pain. And, you know, the laser wave pain treatment is 100% painless. There are no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. And what the laser wave pain treatment does with Dr. Appleton, it actually repairs the damage that's causing the pain. That's why the 5 times he's rid me of pain, the pain hasn't returned, because he repaired the damage that was causing the pain. So give him a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, your calls are welcome at 1-888-GO-CANE-1. Steve's back with us today. I wanted to play this, Steve. This is Steve Bannon's show yesterday. He had a guy on, Mike Davis, who was talking about some of the conflicts in this case. And I thought I'd share some of this with you.
2 days of this unprecedented criminal trial of a former president who happens to be the leading presidential candidate. It was predictable and predicted by us for nearly 2 years here on the War Room, and that is, there is no way in hell that President Trump is going to get a fair trial in New York City with this Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg.
Okay, so we've got the jurors who get their news from the New York Times, NPR, TikTok, and Charlemagne de God, among other leading liberal sources. And I forgot about this, that Soros financed the entire campaign of Alvin Bragg, who's prosecuting the case.
On the fact that he was going to get Trump. They brought up this bogus legal theory against President Trump that took bookkeeping misdemeanors that are time barred, meaning beyond the statute of limitations by many years, at best misdemeanors, bookkeeping misdemeanors. I don't even think there are bookkeeping misdemeanors. And they transformed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you're interested in getting to the bottom of the things we need, number one, they have to have a perspective where they understand exactly what's being done to Trump. And the second thing that is of vital importance is that they have the guts to do a Custer's last stand in the jury room and sit there with their backs to the wall and say, okay, you guys want to put him in jail? Convince me. Fold up like a cheap...
Well, the 12 Angry Men fantasy is not, that's not here. There's nobody here that's in, there's no, you know.
There has to be a moment in the proceedings where that possibility is...
And you know, in 12 Angry Men, which I've not seen in a long, long time, Henry Fonda was a liberal who was, and the other jurors were racists who just wanted to get home. Here, Steve, we have liberal activists. I mean, just for example, these few jurors that live on the Upper East Side, if everybody knows, everybody they encounter at the coffee shop, the restaurants, in their building know they're on the jury. Everybody knows this, right? How can you acquit Trump and go back and live on the Upper East Side of New York? How's that even possible?
For you or for me?
No, for these jurors. These jurors that get their news from National Public Radio, and the New York Times and CNN, they live on the Upper East Side. If Trump is acquitted under any circumstances, can they go and live in the Upper East Side in peace? I don't think so. You know, it's so wrong. And on top of the fact that the daughter raised $100 million for the Democrats on the promise that this money would be used to convict Trump in a criminal court, and her dad's the judge in the case. How does this? It's Steve.
had an appearance of.
No, and what they're doing by not televising it is they're trying to hide it a little bit, or they would televise it. They don't want people to see how unfair it is. But I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience. I can't even believe this is happening. It's so bizarre. With this entire kangaroo court. You know, when there's trials and everything, people talk about biases. Okay, you move the trial from Brentwood to, South Central LA, whatever. They moved it downtown. Okay, there's not a hope or a prayer or a shred of possibility of a fair trial here. It's a trial that's set up to convict.
Saying we should skip to the verdicts.
Well, what I think we need to highlight the kangaroo-ness of the court so people can understand. I mean, and no one should excuse this. Well, what did you expect from? No, nothing at this level has ever happened before. And I'll tell you, throughout the American justice system, this is probably like in 100 years, this case will be one of the 5 or 10, probably in the top 5, because OJ will fizzle out. People will forget about OJ, But a trial of the President of the United States will be in history books. This will be one of the top 2 or 3 trials in the history of the United States. If this country,
Last statement you made, is that assuming that Trump is convicted?
No matter what by the way, he's not guilty of anything. The case shouldn't be happening. But what I'm telling you is, in 1,000 years, when they write books about the history of the United States justice system or the country in general, this trial, regardless of the verdict, will be one of the top couple of cases in American history.
The only little thing I disagree with, I think it's going to be far more of an important happening in history if Trump is convicted than if he is acquitted. They'll probably do their best to bury the story.
Well, I know what you mean by that. But they're setting the stage for that too, because they're accusing him of intimidating the jurors. They're foreshadowing a hung jury or an acquittal. Well, Trump intimidated them. He's a.
I'm going to break here. I just didn't want to.
Yep.
The thing that scares me is that they're going to make a misstep here in the mid. When I went to bed, I had a very fitful sleep last night because it looks like we're on the verge of nuclear war, and it's that same scenario that we were always afraid of. What happens if Trump is convicted?
Yeah. Oh, he'll. They may. The judge may deny him bail, and just to finish what I was saying, Steve, they don't seem to be. This case is so crooked from every aspect, the judge, the prosecutor, the jury. And on a case that is so historically significant, they're so out in the open, they're not even trying to give the illusion of fairness. That's frightening. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. Steve and I have been gabbing. Steve was off for a couple of days, so we haven't talked much, so we've been gabbing a little bit. But we will go to the calls after the break. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Connie and Greg.
Be right back, guys.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a traffic check brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
95 southbound, slow down past Wellington
What do you guys think in the chat about the jury? I mean, that it's insane, that description of the jury.
Or email info@hydrarestoration.com for any and all of your cleaning and restoration.
Hey, thanks, CR.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years.
Def Leppard's not my favorite group, but they're probably my favorite rock group. I love Pour Some Sugar on Me. When I was in high school, I had the cassette. Which album is Pour Some Sugar on Me? Is that on Hysteria? I wore the tape out. I played that song so much. I had to buy it again.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 47 years on...
All right, there is just one opening on our board, Steve, at 1-888-465-2631. You want to go to the phones? What do you want to do? All right, a week from tomorrow, we leave on the cruise, going to Aruba. I'm packing this weekend. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Ricky from North Carolina.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, quick question, and I might have missed it because I've been on and off because I just got off work. What is President Trump's options if they end up this corrupt system finds
You're going to
guilty?
appeal it.
Like
that's his option. I mean, that's what makes this whole trial ridiculous. Everybody knows what the outcome of this one's going to be, and it's just a question of how soon they can get to the final appeal and the Supreme Court. Because I don't see this, and no matter who wins this at this level, I don't see anybody not having in the end to be judged by the Supreme Court. So
Yeah, but that could take a long time because. Yeah.
There are things they can do to expedite it. Given the situation, they're certainly aware of the emergent. To talk much for a living, Steve. They're certainly aware of the emergent nature of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
President being in jail?
That you can be president and be in prison. Sure.
The question is, will he get elected?
You still run for president? Okay.
Yeah, you can run for president from jail. Absolutely. Yeah, you can do that.
I don't know. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, I appreciate your call. Thanks so much. All right. Oh, boy. I'm going to take these calls to the best of my ability in the order in which they were received. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Steve in Chicago.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, how are things in Chi-Town? Getting ready for the big riots at the convention?
Yeah, right. And I would like to see Trump tour every black neighborhood and every black city everywhere and everything. Especially Chicago.
Well, I understand. Now, I've heard Jussie Smollett talks about this, that Chicago is actually MAGA country, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, there are probably pockets.
Yeah, really? Where's that pocket at? The funeral home in the morgue. That's where that is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Ellen.
Yes, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, Brian, you do realize those two stunts, the one in Chick-fil-A and the other one in Harlem, they were staged. They were
Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Because it's on the news and people know it.
I watched the news. I didn't see it was staged. I didn't see that at all. I saw it as a very spontaneous spurt of a support for what people understand is a major injustice going on here.
The ones in Harlem were the young Republicans.
Oh, really? The 11-year-old black kid saying, "We love you, Trump." That's a young Republican in Harlem. Listen, hold on. The Chick-fil-A, the bodega was a planned stop. The crowd outside was not. The Chick-fil-A was not, excuse me, really, the Chick-fil-A was not. In fact, part of the security thing with the Secret Service, when they stop at these restaurants, they do them randomly and unplanned. There's no need for the big security checks because no one knows he's coming, okay?
The one at Chick-fil-A, the black lady, she is a fundraiser for the GOP.
No, she's not a fundraiser for the GOP. She was active with the Blexit movement.
You know what that is, right?
Don't you find it odd that he ordered 30 milkshakes? How would he know to order?
Because he's got eyes, and he said, "I want to pay for the milkshakes of these 30 people over here."
Get out of here. You guys, this is what Katie Couric means when she talks about intellectual intelligence.
Oh, really?
Yes. You guys see everything in black and white. You don't see any gray. You don't ever question anything.
Show me the okay. You're right. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Why don't you give us the unbiased view of Donald Trump? Go. I'm listening.
And what regard? What regard?
The intellectual one. The intellectual. What?
Ice cream man. What do you the matter with you?
Because you people never question.
You people. Jews, Steve. She's talking about Jews. You people.
The Jews?
No.
And answer Brian's question. Hey, hold on 1 second. Let's just take one point at a time. Answer Brian's question. When you said you people, what were you talking about? Jews? Who are you people?
MAGAs.
MAGAs.
Yes.
Yeah, MAGAs.
I was watching television last night at Columbia, which is located in a neighborhood that I used to live in. All right, and there were riots going on. The police were carrying people out in cuffs. I didn't see any MAGA people up there. I saw a lot of lunatic left-wing wackos, not unlike yourself, man, in all due respect.
No, and then, Brian, the other thing is,
what about this thing? Before you get to the other thing, get about this thing. Who are you people?
Jews.
You said you people. Who are you talking about?
Not MAGA people.
MAGA people. Okay.
MAGA person.
Oh, that's pretty obvious.
Let me play this.
My question is so obvious.
Because you take everything at face value. You never question anything.
No.
You right now doing a pretty good job of it.
See, don't go anywhere, Carl. I want to play this. You weren't here the last 2 days. Did you see Trump go to Harlem to the bodega, Steve?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I want to play this audio. These are the school kids that are about 11 years old, fifth graders, mostly African-American children, about 11. Trump's walking into the bodega. Here's the kids. Listen. 11-year-old black boy yelling, "I love you, Trump." What? Your mom? I'm watching the video. 11-year-old black kids.
Let me answer. Little children go.
Typically, they're on their way home from school. They were walking on the way home from school, and a president showed up, so they stopped.
I mean, look at the face, bro.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, but look it up and see how they planted it.
Planted it?
Yeah, they have a young Republican.
So you're voting for Biden, correct?
I don't know who I'm voting for.
Oh, come on. You're not voting for Trump. Who are your options other than Trump?
I'm going to read it out and see.
Well, who else? If you're not...
Secure with Biden running the country now, with nuclear weapons floating all over the Mideast.
Yeah.
You're relaxed and secure that we're not going to end up in a nuclear conflict with this lunatic as president.
It would be no different if it was Trump. It would be no different.
Really? Okay.
So I'm just curious. If you're not voting for Trump, you're weighing your options. What are your other options? If you're not voting for Trump, it's Biden.
I'd be like Gavin Newsom.
He's not running.
Well, you never know.
He's not running.
Not right now, he's not.
I'll tell you what. Write in Gavin Newsom, which will be a vote for Trump because you'll wait. Hey, listen. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.
Cold, hard truth, delivered warnings.
All right, this is going to be exciting. The final gold and precious metals report of the week. On the line, we have William Youngerman. William Youngerman, how are the metals ending the week?
Well, right now the metals are up and have been pretty much all over the place throughout the night with the situation in the Mideast. Gold getting up as high as $2,415 last night, and then getting sold back down as things eased. The morning trading range so far for gold, $2,371 up to all the way up to $2,394. Yesterday we saw gold close up $17.70, closing out the day at $2,377.90. Silver was up 3 cents, closing out the day at $28.17. Platinum lost $2 at $9.36, and palladium was down $3 at $1,009. As I said, overnight we saw gold get all the way up to $2,415. This morning, right now, gold's at $2,382 the ounce. That's up $4.10. Silver up 13 cents at $28.30. Platinum down $6 at $930, and palladium down $20 at $9.89. So the markets are just kind of digesting what's going on over there and looking to see how far or how much this is going to continue. But it looks like gold still wants to hold very well in the high range. And once we get established over that $2,400 number and it builds the base at 24, next number we have in sight is $2,600 for gold.
Wow.
So buy any kind of dips you can, because it really is not.
Are you still recommending as the best, like the most gold for your money is with the Australian kangaroos, 1 ounce size?
Yeah, I think they are still the best value for your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, those are beautiful coins. If you stop in William Youngerman's in person, you can all these things that you hear William Youngerman and I talk about, you can look at them. And those Australian kangaroos they're beautiful. I mean, they're the kind of gold that light up a room. They're really beautiful and shiny. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can call him toll-free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk on Monday.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve.
All right, only one opening on our board where William Youngerman was. You want to go back to the phones? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen.
Joellen, what's up?
Hey, I'm not sure if it was you yesterday or a different radio talk guy saying that even if there was a hung jury, that judge could still overrule that.
Well, first of all, yes. Okay. First of all, I did not know there were other radio shows. This comes as a shock to me. I don't know why any other show would even bother. After we've set the record. Yeah, they have to fill in that dead air. Yeah, I know. No, what I was talking about was this. I've seen instances here in Florida in cases where the judge didn't like a verdict and then threw out the verdict and rendered their own verdict. I've seen that happen multiple times here in Florida over the years, and I'm wondering if New York law allows that. And I've not been able to get an answer to that. If the judge has to go with the jury verdict, or
In terms of this judge,
if they come back hung by one vote, can the judge throw the verdict out and say guilty? You understand what I mean? That's what I don't know about New York law. I know here in Florida, judges can do all kinds of crazy things.
Does it make any difference what New York law is because they never followed? They are not followed.
They're making it up as they go along. Yeah, they're making it up as they go along. Yeah.
The other thing is, I heard last night that Gretchen Whitmer is spending $8 million of taxpayer money there in Michigan to provide legal assistance for asylum seekers there in Michigan.
Mm.
That's good. Let her do it. Let her blow her career.
Yeah.
For Michigan, but anyway.
What's that part of Michigan that's not connected to the rest of the state called?
Mackinac?
Yeah, that part up top on the map. She can send them all there. It's very cold. They won't like... this thing with Gretchen Whitmer, what she's doing is setting the stage to run in 2028. That's why she's doing all this stuff with the illegals and talking about abortion when she's not doing that. She thinks she's going to be the nominee in 2028. Oh, wouldn't you? Oh, she's a crazy lady. Yeah, you can see it in her eyes.
They had a article... I don't read the New York Times, but these people up in where I work do. There's an article that's saying Whitmer is showing Biden how it's done. She's got a picture of her clenching her fists, and in the background is over.
Oh my goodness!
And
how it's done?
It's just disgusting.
Well, you may not read the New York Times, but all the members of the Trump jury do apparently.
Well, I think some of the people there where I work, they do as well, but I don't think that they're all.
I used to read the New York Times on the weekends, and then I saw it costs like $10 to buy that thing on Sunday. It's really expensive. I mean, I don't know who would pay for that. No. All right, take it. Thanks for the call. All right, I'm trying to take the calls in the order in which they were received, guys. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Never Trumper Steve in Lund County. How you guys doing?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay. Maybe Steve wants to jump in, but Brian, how would you define the word chutzpah to your audience who do not know what that word means? How would you define that?
They have. I guess they're chutzpah. Maybe they're shameless too a little bit. They don't care what other people think.
Yeah, I would. You would agree, or have a person has a lot of nerve if they have chutzpah. Would you agree, Steve?
I would say.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when I look at Trump after being in court on Tuesday, going up to Harlem, and by the way, I like the fact that you played that audio of the 11-year-old students, because if they're 11, they don't know Trump's history of racism.
Okay, now slow down. Hold on, slow down. I talked about this the other day about the kids are about 11 or 12 years old, and there's been studies done on this because and many studies and a lot of articles written about this over the years. When it comes to elections, during presidential elections in public schools and elementary school, they have mock elections, and typically children vote based on the way their parents are going to vote. So when I see 11 and 12-year-old Harlem kids saying, "We love you, Trump," that tells me that their parents at home in Harlem love Trump.
I think that's a stretch, but when I go back to 1973, I remember because I was living there and I'm dating myself on my age, the Nixon Republican administration sued Trump for violating the Fair Housing Act, which basically meant he was sued for not renting his...
So what? Exactly. And how did that case turn? And how did the court rule in that case? Now, excuse me. And how did the court rule in that?
He settled.
He settled, so there was no finding. So there was no finding by the court.
Saying that he will not discriminate.
Now, excuse me, they settled because it's cheaper than spending 5 years in court. So hold on a second. So the Trump slow down. We're still talking about the first example, okay? No, I'm going to comment on what you said. You're slandering the greatest president this country has ever had, and I'm not going to let you just run a freight train over that. A couple things about that. Number one. Well, let me finish with this. Number one, the company at the time was run by Fred Trump, not Donald Trump. Okay, Daddy was still around running things. Excuse me. Number two, they settled that case, as people often do at that level, because it's cheaper than litigating. So there was no finding that they were racist or anything in that case. So go to your next example.
Right? You would get an apartment, and if you were black, you would not.
Go to your.
Interrupt when you don't like what's being said. Can I get in a word in edgewise?
No, I can't. I'm going to smoke. It says the Steve Kane Show. If my name's on it, I'm responsible for it. I want to address.
I can listen to you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm asking, what examples do you have of Trump's racism? I give you a good example of Biden's racism, saying that he was for doing away with immigration in the schools because he didn't want the schools turned into a
limited time. I'm talking about Trump.
Oh, for limited time. There's plenty of time.
Hold on one second.
Okay. Even after the Central Park
Stephen, stop.
After they were released.
This is a liberal, Steve.
Put him on hold. All right. You're saying Trump is a racist. I think it's only fair to ask what you think. For Biden, can you give me some examples for Trump, and I'll give you a couple of examples from Biden. For example, like when he wanted to do away with integration of the public schools because he didn't want them turned into a racial jungle.
Yes. That's what he said.
Explain that for me, and then I'll turn the call over to you. All right?
I tell you what. Listen, I deal with evidence.
Give me
evidence.
I want the evidence. I'm going to get
black accountants, black guys shouldn't count my money. I hate it. That's an example of racism. And
get off the phone, you jerk.
See, the problem, Steve, is your a response to what you asked him is not on the talking points. That, you know what I mean? You're talking to a telemarketer when you talk to that guy. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Every line on the board is lit. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name?
This is Barbara in Baltimore. Can you hear me?
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm very glad. I'll probably be the last call. And after those two jerks that you just had on the phone, I'd like to address that woman who called in and said that Trump supporters or Republicans or MAGA people or whatever they have her references to only see things on the surface. So that's liberals. They look at the stupid stuff and take it at face value and not really delve into some real facts. And as far as that man who just said about the discrimination, I'm from New York too, buddy. You're not the only one from New York. And it wasn't because those people were black that they were not able to get housing. It's because they were on welfare and they would not pay their rent. So get your facts straight. And that's why they settled on that thing, just to be rid of it. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm black, so I'm just going to call it like it is, because that's what was happening, and that's what's still happening. Donald Trump is not a racist, and as for his campaigning, I love it. And all these people now, the New Yorkers, those people, those jury, that jury is going to be hung because there are people on that jury who are going to face some facts. And I do believe if no one else, it'll be the Irish gentleman who was born in Ireland. People have a conscience. You know, the thing about liberals is they are so...
Really? You think Never Trumper Steve, the white liberal savior there, you think Never Trumper Steve has a conscience? I don't think so. Hey, listen, thanks for calling, Barbara. We're up against the clock, but good points. I there's a full board of calls here, and I just want to tell you guys this. If you hang on, we'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. And if you hang on now, you'll be first in line Monday morning at 6 a.m., okay? So, you know, and I'm not kidding. You'll be first in line on Monday morning. And those of you that called and participated, thanks so much. And those of you that did not make it on the air, if you call back in next week and remind me you were on hold at the end of Friday's show, I'll take your word for it and I'll give you a little extra time because I do appreciate you guys. Some of you have been holding on for a long time, and I apologize we did not have time to get to all of you. But we will be here all next week. We leave on our cruise a week from tomorrow, so we'll be here live all next week, Steve and I, and the trial very well could start early next week. And we need to follow this because what they're doing here is disgusting, and we're going to cover every moment of it. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 47 years on the radio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you Monday. God bless Donald Trump.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar. WIRK 103.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you're new, subscribe. And everyone else, please like the video. All right? I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.